work in, hi, my name is Mary Boylan. I work in the undergraduate admissions office here at American, and I also serve as the liaison between the admissions office and the alumni office. I work closely with Sarah Martone, and we help to try to get more alumni engaged in some of our recruitment and admissions efforts. So wanted to first say thank you for your help and volunteering your extra time that you have to help with our admissions events. We really appreciate it, and we feel that it's so beneficial to have alumni present at them so that you can share your experiences at AU and your alma mater, and the students love to hear from that, to see that you experienced something positive here and enjoyed your time. So today I'm going to be talking about two different types of admissions events that we would have that you might volunteer at, or would like to volunteer at, or will be volunteering at in the future. And those would be our information sessions and also our admitted student receptions. So we hold information sessions primarily in the fall when we're doing a lot of our recruiting. And this is for students who are usually in their senior year. We will get some students in their junior year too, and they're looking to find out more information. And usually the fall is that time of finding out a lot of information about schools, making those final decisions of where students are going to apply. So we try to capitalize on that by having information sessions in a lot of our more, I would say, primary markets, and also major cities too. So we will put on those types of events, and when we do those, the format of the event will be students checking in, getting seated. We'll usually have a picture or video or something in the background as students are registering and checking in. And then typically a representative like myself will get up there and do about an hour or so presentation. And main things that we'll be hitting at will be information about AU, about our academic curriculum, and opportunities for students at the school, internship opportunities, campus life, student life, a lot of just different information on the university. And then really getting into the admissions process, so how they can apply, what we're looking for in applicants, giving tips, and advice, and we'll have that part. And then after we end our presentation, that will be the point where we take questions from parents and students. So we usually take a handful of questions for the good of the crowd. And then at that point, that's at the end where we'll get some other questions too from students and parents that maybe want to talk more individually and want to know more specific about a particular major or financial aid or scholarship. So we get those types of questions at the end, and then pretty much wrapping up. So using alumni in those events, the main parts that we would have you help out would be at the beginning and at the end. So at the beginning, just mingling, and also at the end, kind of mingling with our prospective students and families, and answering any questions that you feel comfortable answering. In that kind of setting, it's nice because if there's something that comes up and you're not sure of, you can just actually point to the representative, like myself. If I was doing the presentation, you could say, I'm not really sure about that. You might want to check with Mary, and then I'm there, and you can just point them over to me, or you can point them to our resources on brochures that will have their contact information. All of that will be at the ready that you can feel free to give them. But you can expect questions on students wanting to know about your experience at the university, things that you were involved in, if you did any kind of internship, what the campus life was like, what your housing was like, what you did after, how did AU help you with job searching, with landing a job. They'll want to know all of that kind of information as they're curious about the school and finding out information on it. You could also get some admissions related questions, and at that point you can certainly turn them to us. For your information, we're happy to give you that information if you feel comfortable answering those questions. So some frequently asked questions that we get, and maybe some information that might be helpful, will be on our academic profile. So students oftentimes want to know what is the average GPA and test scores of students who do get admitted. So this past year, the average GPA was a 3.7 for students who are accepted. Average SAT was a 1270, which is out of 1,600. And we do super score in the SAT, which means if students take that more than once, we will combine their top scores from each section, which just makes them more competitive. So it's a benefit to them. But we do super score. We don't look at the writing section, just the critical reading and math section. So that pretty much covers it on the academic end. You could probably get questions asking you about our campus climate. What are the students like? Where are they coming from? What's the minority rate? Our minority percentage is about 35%. We have students coming from 48 states. We have just under 15% international population. So it gives you some information of where the students are coming from and what the student makeup is. And then at that point, you can share a lot of your own stories, maybe where you come from and where you had friends come from, people that you were meeting there, what you thought campus life was like. That's a great spot that you can feel free to answer those kinds of questions. Other types of questions you could expect to get, sometimes students are curious if they have to apply to separate majors or programs after applying to AU, and the answer is no. They can just apply to AU. They just apply to our university, and we will offer them, if they get accepted, then they are accepted under the major that they indicated, or if they come in undecided and then they decide on their major, or if they change their major, they can do that with no problem. They don't have to then apply separately to a different school or major. So that's how that works, with the exception of musical theater and theater. So keeping that in mind. You get questions on the general education requirements, or if there's a required curriculum. We do have those gen ed requirements that they can find out more information online, but they can't expect to complete those. That is a part of our curriculum. And then we do have an honors program, so students could be interested in the honors program. At AU, that's a separate application too. It's a selective program that does require a separate application, and students can apply for that. And sometimes students and parents might ask you, if you're at an information session or admitted student reception, what the average financial aid package is. And you might, especially at the admitted student receptions, you could potentially get questions on, because at that point students find out that they're accepted. They also find out what their financial aid package is. So they might want to know, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. We thought we were going to get more. Were we reviewed for a scholarship? Can we appeal for a scholarship? Those kinds of specific questions about finances. And you can really just point them in the direction of either talking to an admissions representative when it comes to merit scholarships. Otherwise, they can contact the financial aid office when it really comes to those financial questions. But we don't quote out an average financial aid package. We do meet 100% of need of our students, so you can let them know that. But when it comes down to those maybe nitty-gritty questions about finances, don't feel pressured to answer those. Our financial aid office is happy to work with families and students individually to answer those, because yeah, the truth is everyone's situation is so specific and individual. It's hard to get into that, but they will want to come up to you and probably talk to you as you're representing AU. So you could be prepared for that. You probably get questions on housing, which you can share your experience with, and know that we do guarantee housing the first 2 years for our students. So that's a good fact to remember if you can. And at information sessions, students and parents might ask about early decision. We do offer early decision, which means students can apply to us through early decision, which is a binding agreement. And this is where students are saying if they're accepted, they're coming to the university. So that's general info about early decision, and just knowing that, yes, students can apply to us through that. And another way that they can apply to us is what we call through test optional, which means that they are opting to not send in their standardized testing scores to us. So students can do that, and that means that we're just looking at their high school transcripts when we're reviewing their application. And we let students do that as we realize some students might feel better represented by their transcripts than by standardized testing scores. So we do have that. So those are some frequently asked questions you might get at a information session or an admitted student reception. So if you remember that information and you feel comfortable answering those questions, we would welcome you to do that while giving your own personal experience, maybe with different topics. But yeah, once again, if you can't remember, you don't feel comfortable, you always know where to point them in our direction as well. And a lot of the same things I was just saying there are also for admitted student receptions. The difference there is students have found out that they are admitted. So this is a point in April where we will have students, invite students to these events, and we would like to give them some information again about the school. This is during the time that students are really deciding on where they like to attend for college. So we put on these events. That's where your help comes in a lot because at this point they're really trying to assess is this the right place for them? What kind of value do they see in the institution? And that's why we love having alumni at those events, because you can speak firsthand on that type of information. So a lot of the things that I mentioned with the information session in terms of the setup and what we would expect for your role is very similar at an admitted student reception. Being able to talk with students and families before the event, after the event, answer any questions that you're able to, and kind of share your story as you feel comfortable. That's where we like to see your role and where we appreciate it. But we do have the registration for the event at the beginning, kind of the opening time as students and families are coming in. And then we'll be putting on, during the admitted student events, we have three different people that will be talking. One will be a representative like myself, opening up the event, introducing everyone. Second person is usually a current student, giving a little small speech on their experience at AU so far. And then finally, we have a keynote speaker. And that would be someone who might be coming from one of our academic departments. Sometimes even our President Kerwin, might attend a couple of events, or our Vice President of Enrollment might be there as a keynote speaker. So it would be someone, a member within the AU community that would be giving that speech. And then at that point, we close up the event, take questions, and then open it up for everyone to talk individually and say, as much as they'd like. And so hopefully that gives you some good information on the different events that we have with the information sessions, and then also the admitted student events. And once again, we really appreciate your help with these types of recruitment events. And if you have any questions that come up, please feel free to contact myself. Once again, my name is Mary, and I have my contact information on our website, or Sarah Martone, who you'll hear from as well. So thank you again, and I hope I can meet you in the future.